Jim from Dynatrac, and we want to spend a few minutes talking about new generation Dana 44s. Where do they come from? It's quite simply, second generation or new generation Dana 44s came about with the introduction of the Jeep JK in 2007. So these weren't invented by the aftermarket or any company other than Dana and Jeep that worked together to build a stronger version of an older axle for a heavier, more modern vehicle. So there's a lot of improvements that were made to the second generation or Gen 2 Dana 44 gears to accommodate the larger Jeep JK vehicle. Okay, let's take a look at some ring gears here. This first ring gear is from a first generation old school Dana 44. These were in CJs, Jeep Wagoneers, lots of 44s in the fronts of Chevrolet and Dodge pickups, so they've been very, very common over the years. Many, many decades, millions of vehicles out there. In 2007, this is the new generation front ring gear and pinion that came out in the Jeep JK. And this last one over here is the new generation Dana 44 ring gear and pinion that came in the rear of the Jeep JK. Now you'll notice, if we look at these two front gears, that the pinion shank is a lot bigger in the second generation. It also uses bigger bearings. And these bigger bearings and this heavier pinion shank give the gear more support to reduce deflection. In the rear gear, you'll notice that we still use the bigger bearings, but the spread on the bearings is a little longer, which also gives even more pinion support than it did on the front. The larger 8.8-inch ring gear that's used in the rear of the JK also gives more tooth length, which increases tooth strength, which makes sense because this is the gear that drives the vehicle all the time. The front gear only comes into play when you're in four-wheel drive. Now let's take a look at some differentials for Dana 44s. This is a Rubicon differential, also called a True Lock. This was introduced at the same time as the second generation Dana 44 with the Jeep JK Rubicon model only. This is an ARB for a Dana 44. This ARB fits the first generation or early Dana 44s, as well as our aftermarket Pro Rock 44s that also are made to fit the Jeep JK. Now, what's different about these is the bearings that they use. The bearing size for the Rubicon True Lock is just ever so slightly different than the bearing size of the old Dana 44. And so what happens is you can't interchange these two differentials. There's also one other feature that's very important. If you look at where the cross pin is in this differential in relation to where the ring gear bolts on, and then you compare it to where this cross pin is to where the ring gear bolts on, the center of this diff is in a completely different position than the older early model or first generation Dana 44s. Axle shaft from a Rubicon Dana 44 will not interchange with an older Dana 44, and older Dana 44 axle shafts will not interchange with the Rubicon because the lengths of the shafts are different. You can see that these are both front axle shafts. This shaft is the stock shaft out of a Rubicon model front Dana 44. What's significant about the newer version is they used a slightly larger U-joint, and they also beefed up some of the area of the forging to give it a little more strength. So that's a very nice feature in the second generation 44s if you have a Rubicon model. But if you don't have a Rubicon model, then you're not going to get quite that same amount of strength. This is an RCV shaft. This has become very popular for us when we're selling and building Pro Rock 44s for people. The Pro Rock 44 is available either as a conventional diff or the electric Rubicon diff. You can buy it either way. In any case, we can supply you with new shafts, or if it's the Rubicon model, you can reuse your old shafts. But remember what we talked about earlier. The length of the shafts is important. If you have a Rubicon Dana 44, the shaft lengths are not correct for a conventional diff. So you need to get different shafts if you're going to switch to a conventional diff such as an ARB. These RCVs are an excellent choice. They're very popular. They warranty them for life, and they've proven to be very strong and durable. So you've got a Jeep JK, and it's time to upgrade. The Pro Rock 44 is your best choice for that upgrade. We've got lots of exclusive features. This is a loaded assembly, ready to bolt into your Jeep. Has beefier brackets, heavy end forgings, Dynatrac ball joints, integral upper control arm mount, cast helical coil seats, the highest ground clearance in the industry, and there's more ProRock 44s in the field today than all of our competitors combined. This is the absolute very best in a Dana 44 assembly for the front of your Jeep JK.